Well, an investigation is underway into an accident which took place yesterday in which 11 school children were injured. We're told that an illegal taxi driven by an unlicensed driver crashed into a barrier outside Parliament. Our reporter Monique Mortlock is following the story for us. She joins us now live. So Monique, have we established any more information about this crash?
Shahan, now the fact that the driver and the vehicle was allegedly unlicensed, this hasn't yet been confirmed by authorities, although yesterday we heard from the Western Cape Education Department that they want the owners of the vehicle to be held responsible for this. We know that the SAPS is investigating the case of reckless and negligent driving, but no one has been arrested yet. I did ask the SAPS if the driver is likely to be arrested, although they couldn't respond to that. They did say the driver is still in hospital, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye out on that in the coming days. And also I've been trying to get a hold of the Western Cape Transport MEC just to hear from them whether the department is also investigating, looking into this, especially since it was a private taxi vehicle that was transporting children. We know that it was a 16-seater taxi that had about 21 pupils from 12 different schools across the City Bowl crammed into that taxi, and the WCD saying there were 2 adults, the taxi driver and another person in the vehicle. From where I'm standing outside Parliament, the only remnants of the accident are some bits of glass on the ground, and also the bollard that the taxi crashed into is pretty scratched up, although it's still standing. A little earlier I spoke to an educator who was the first one on the scene yesterday when he heard that some of the learners at his school, at the Holy Cross Primary School here in the City Bowl, were involved in the crash, and this is what he had to say about what he came across when they first arrived here.
As we pulled up, there were ambulance everywhere, fire truck, policemen. It was all taped up. People were staring, and I was just like in awe. I saw the taxi, and I immediately, my heart just like shattered a bit because I heard some of our learners were in the accident. So I tried looking for them and everything, but I couldn't see them. So they were being attended to, but it was just very traumatic for me.
No doubt this crash brings the issue of solid transport back in the spotlight. What are authorities saying?
Yes, Shahan. Specifically, the educator that I spoke to, Nadeem Dolly, he mentioned that this brought back so many traumatic memories for him, for other staff members, for pupils at Holy Cross Primary School, because about 2 years ago, a similar incident happened where they actually lost one of their learners. Now, thankfully, none of the learners involved in yesterday's crash were there were no fatal injuries. We know that 11 learners were seriously injured. A parent that I've been keeping in contact with, she's in one of the hospitals here in Cape Town with her daughter, who has to now go for an operation due to her a broken leg. And this issue of scholar patrol is something that we've seen countless times over the years, and it's something that I asked Mr. Nadeem Dolly about, and he says this is something that they have also on numerous occasions spoken to parents about over these last couple of years, especially after that fatal crash in which they lost a learner a few years ago, telling parents to choose wisely when it comes to scholar transport. Know who you are getting to transport your child. But he says there are challenges involved with that, especially because many of the parents live quite far from the City Bowl where the schools are situated, and there's very few private transport vehicles coming into the City Bowl, and they also can't trust that their children will be safe on public transport. Let's take a listen to what he said on this issue.
There's not a lot of transport that comes this way. It's also, if they do use public transport, it's more expensive than the monthly transport that take children to school. So I know some children take train, then they have to take a train and run up early morning, because the earliest child comes 6 o'clock to school, and then teachers have to be there to open up for the child so the child's not in the cold. So it's very difficult because parents work night shift, early morning shift, and then when they have to be at work, the child's already at school so early.